Co-Creation Workshop, Health and Wellbeing Through Creativity. This workshop welcomed participants from Kingston health and care service providers, potential users of these services, providers of activities linked to art in the borough, as well as a group from the Kingston University Sustainable Design Master's course. These work together on the development of new concepts and possibilities for services aimed at enhancing well-being for the elderly and those living with dementia, and facilitating community involvement from the bottom up. In order to define these new concepts and possibilities, the workshop was developed on the principle of being person-centered, of considering people in terms of their assets before their needs and problems, which may have to be solved by others, and of fostering collaboration, not only among Kingston service providers, but also with the potential users of these services. Team 2 gathered a group of 4 people who worked together in order to find possible solutions to the following question. How do we encourage members of the community to be aware of the available services and to pass on this information to those who might need it? After the shock of losing a loved one, it is difficult to readjust and pick up one's own life. Even for a person who is willing and able to go out and take up new activities, the effort can be overwhelming, with information sources seeming cold and unapproachable. Often, some external impulse may be needed as the initial motivation. What works well for one person may often deter others. The essential information needs to be made available through a variety of friendly channels. Each participant was provided with a persona to help them be more confident and detailed in tackling the topic. Betty, who is 74 and unmarried, owed much to her older sister, who had been central to her family. Recently, she had started to repay this debt during her sister's final illness. Now, after the sadness of her sister's death, Betty is afraid that she has also lost the link with the rest of the family. She is both fit and very willing to get involved in new activities, preferably helping others, while at the same time finding friends. Choosing one of the 5 ways to well-being developed by the New Economics Foundation was the first step towards launching the discussion and analyzing Betty's position. The process was guided in the first place by clarifying the challenges she is likely to face. Secondly, by understanding her world in terms of the people with whom she interacts and where. And finally, by analyzing the local assets that might help her to become aware of the services and so take part in activities from where she might benefit. In her changed circumstances, it is proving a problem for Betty to find and adapt to a new role. The sources of information may be difficult for her to access, even though she is more than willing to engage positively in society. Betty is clear that she wants to participate, but she needs answers to the inevitable questions of what is available, where to go, and how to take part. Otherwise, this could be a significant barrier. Betty now feels herself cut off from the social activities that in other circumstances would be natural for her. She finds herself limited in her opportunities of interacting with society, except through the essential everyday activities. Apart from her trips to supermarkets, she is likely to visit the local library or gym and small businesses or charity shops, as well as the health center. After analysis of the community assets which might support Betty, it is clear that Kingston does offer various activities which might be suitable for Betty. However, these are not adequately promoted in places where she is regularly likely to come across them, such as on public transport or in local newspapers and broadcasts, nor at frequently visited attractions such as National Trust sites and the RHS gardens. In their response to the initial question, the team decided that as a way to provide information about local opportunities, it would be useful to concentrate on the places which Betty often visits in her day to day life, and also on the need for this information to be offered in an attractive form. A place well known to Betty, such as a supermarket, could be an ideal contact point where information about local activities might be provided. The staff would receive training to offer information about the existing services, viewing this as a part of their social responsibility program. This should add value to the supermarket service, target people like Betty, and eventually build customer loyalty. Through this, Betty and the society in general would become aware of the opportunities provided by the local services. This growth of friendly communication between staff and people like Betty could foster easier, improved links between different generations. Through this initiative, a link should be established between the services already provided and those people who could profit from them. It will be an obvious advantage if this promotion can be launched in places frequently visited by Betty, such as National Trust sites or Hampton Court, places of leisure such as gyms and cafes or garden centers. In this way, Betty can become knowledgeable about suitable services for herself, and people in general can become natural promotion agents for local services. And this will help to achieve a match between the person and the right available activity. Despite the fact that the supermarket is inevitably one of the places most visited by Betty, and in this sense the ideal place to provide relevant information, this might be perceived as the promotion of the shop itself as well as of the services. Therefore, the team decided to adapt their initial idea, choosing a place which Betty might also visit regularly, but in a more relaxed way, such as a garden center. They also recommended significant innovations in the way information is delivered. A garden center is a place where people usually go to enjoy themselves. As such, it might play a valuable role as the forum, where Betty could discuss her needs and inform herself about activities which appeal to her. The team decided to make the process attractive through funny, surprising, and empathetic methods of communication. Under these circumstances, Betty would feel comfortable about exchanging ideas with others who might provide her with information about local activities to match Betty's assets and interests. Once the brief was defined, the team started to prototype their idea in order to describe the problem that they were trying to solve or the change they wanted to make, define how the idea would work, including assets and resources needed to develop it, and how Betty would interact with the service, and to explain the impact of this idea in Betty's life and eventually throughout the community. Betty is searching to get involved with new activities, while also meeting new friends. Kingston currently provides a wide range of services which cater for such needs and interests. Despite the existence of different options, there is the lack of appropriate and friendly channels of communication, even for a person as willing to try them as Betty is. Interesting ways of bridging this gap may be provided through the use of various contact points. The team's suggestion is that when Betty visits the garden center, her attention will be caught by the unexpected presence of a flash mob. While she is watching this, she will be spoken to by a person who will give her promotional material, such as leaflets, and let her know that outside there will be some people happy to expand the information. When she is on her way out, staff from the garden center will encourage her to ask for further information, directing her in the direction of the people who can give her fuller details. Betty will be received in a comfortable, non intimidating area where she can find out what could be available for her. Later, once she has been engaged, Betty, in her turn, can perhaps take the role of the person that sits there, so as to provide information about local activities to others. The result should be a better, a more efficient match between the available activities and Betty with her particular assets and interests. By taking her own decisions and accepting the chance to support others, Betty is thus enabled to use her assets of experience and enthusiasm at the same time, regaining the self confidence and status which had been drained from her.